Call this meeting to order, Tuesday, July 14th, 2015, at 2 o'clock. Could we have a roll call, please? Lisa Ruggiero called and she wasn't going to be here for the previous, but she's was going to be here for this, but she's having problems with her roof, so she'll be absent. And Angie will not be here. And Veronica, are you on the phone?
Yes, she's right here.
I'm here.
Okay, good. Okay, roll call.
Veronica,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Nick,
Here.
John,
Here.
and myself. So we do have a quorum. There are 5 of us.
Okay, quorum is present. We're going to try something different. Veronica, you're still there, right?
I certainly am.
We're going to ask you to lead us in the pledge.
I would be honored to do so.
We're ready.
I pledge allegiance
To
to the flag
Of the United
of the
States
United
of America
America
and to the
and
republic
for
which it stands,
one
one nation,
nation,
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You got the phone bag.
That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that for us. All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I have no
Second.
changes, so it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. So carried, let the record show unanimously. Okay, board reports. We'll start with Howard.
This is going to be the shortest report you've ever heard. I will pass for today.
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment.
Public comments.
Do we have one? Yes, we do. Devon, TR, it looks like TR and...
Devin Truby.
Okay, come on up. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, trustees. My name is Devin Truby, and this is my coworker Ryan O'Donnell. We're from High Sierra Industries, and
Oh.
Lisa Ruggiero wanted us to come out and kind of give everybody a rundown on what we've been working on.
Terrific.
High Sierra Industries is an organization that works with adults with disabilities across life skills development, job development, vocational, pre-vocational, day habilitation, and supported living arrangements. So 2 years ago, I was approached by a parent of an individual with some disabilities after an open house I organized at High Sierra, and she told me that knowing that there are programs out in our community for kids who age out of the Washoe County School District to come to continue to learn and be a part of the community was a godsend to her and her family, because she thought she was going to have to give up her career to take care of her child after he left the school district. And after that conversation, I kind of surveyed the community at large and wanted to see how many people actually knew what kind of supports were available for adults with disabilities in northern Nevada, and there wasn't a lot of awareness of what goes on for those kinds of programs. So seeing a gap in supports, I wanted to kind of fill that with the program. So I met Lisa Ruggiero in the community, just kind of happened to bump into her, and I ran the idea of a partnership with her by her, and I wanted to get into the schools to increase the knowledge for the parents and guardians and providers of the children with disabilities about what programs like High Sierra does for the kids once they leave the Washoe County School District. I wanted to build a bridge program that would make it easy to transition from the Washoe County School District to programs such as HSI. Lisa thought it was a wonderful idea, and Trustee Rosenberg and Lisa have both been out to High Sierra to see what's going on over there. And they both jumped on getting everyone they could think of that could help build that program very quickly, and it's kind of taken off from there. So since then, with Trustees Ruggiero and Rosenberg's help, as well as Byron Green, Matt Burak from Piccolo, Frank Salvaggio, and a number of people from High Sierra Industries as well, the program's expanded from just a bridge program to a community-wide project that will get the services the High Sierra offers out to the community. We're also working really closely with Matt Burak at Piccolo. We're going to try and start an enclave pilot program to offer services to the kids ages 16 to 22 pre-vocational skills, so the transition to competitive employment is that much easier. And I just wanted to thank you all for that help.
Thank you.
You know what? We should be thanking you, because
Yes, thank you.
this is marvelous. And I think there's a couple of our graduates from Piccolo that are coming to you for job opportunities, and also to you computer through your bridging has enabled a lot of kids an opportunity that they haven't had before. So thank you very much for what you're doing, and this bridge program I think is marvelous and wonderful. And if there's anything that you need, just get in touch with those people that you've gotten in touch with. Matt from Piccolo is a marvelous young man.
Absolutely.
So
and thank you very much. And if you ever want to just drop by, come on over.
okay.
And I want to say thank you. I know you've been working with Dr. Green in the option zone and expanding that work and making sure we provide services and had some rich discussions. So thank you very much for that.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us. I appreciate it. Okay, then we'll go to board reports now.
I shall pass.
Pass.
Me too.
You're not going to tell us how it was sitting in the Queen's box at Wimbledon?
No, fine, no, fine.
Well, I thought that's the least that our communication compartment could do, is get you a seat in the Queen's box.
I'm
She was
really,
busy.
I'm really a wild Irish rose, so.
Oh, okay. I understand. Mr. Smith?
Oh, the summer's been quiet. I have nothing to speak on.
Good. You were on radio yesterday, and I thought that that was a very good interview, and you did a good job. And for mine, I'd just like to say that I want to thank the staff of Washoe County School District. All, how many of them? How many?
6,000.
Yeah.
Lots.
8,000 staff members?
Yep.
And you all are doing such a wonderful job that everywhere I go, somebody says, oh, do you know this teacher and that teacher and custodians and everything. And the community really is appreciated of the work that this staff does. It's just tremendous what progress in the last year, in fact, that we have made. And just, I don't need to tell you, but keep up the good work that you're doing, because I sure hear good reports out there from the community. And my agenda here, it says interim. Oh, Veronica, I'm sorry. Veronica?
Oh, I have nothing formal to report, only to say thank you also to the staff for a wonderful day on Friday, and to my fellow trustees. I thought the conversation was really valuable, and at least for me, regrounded us in what we're about and what we're focused on and what our vision direction is. So I really appreciated the effort that went into that meeting and the time that everyone took to have that conversation on the strategic plan. So thank you.
Thank you. And my formal agenda here says interim superintendent's report. Do we have an interim superintendent?
I think by open meeting law, when we published this, there was an interim in place.
Oh, I see. Okay. Then, but now we'll have the interim permanent superintendent's report.
I'll be swift today. As you know,
Before you start, I want to present you a little gift from the Board of Trustees for your hard work as interim superintendent, and you just are going to glide right into permanent superintendent.
Thank you.
And on behalf of the Board of Trustees, we'd like to present you with that bouquet.
That lovely corsage. I want to
Put it on.
I almost forgot what I was going to say. Now that I have to report.
Well, if you have, we'll go right
Well,
on.
I do. We've been busy. As you know, Senator Debbie Smith has been a champion for education, and we kicked off SB 411. We had an opportunity to speak. Riley and Pete went to I Love Reno Radio when we talked about, did I get it right? Right? I Love Reno. And we had an opportunity to talk about our needs and what we're doing with SB 4. This is kind of tough because I can't see your face, so I'm going to have to put this. But that work is moving forward as we look at our challenges, as we look at building and construction needs. And I had a great opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. to meet with our senators and congressmen regarding the ESEA reauthorization. And we know that's going to be a big deal, and that's being heard on the floor this week, too. It started last week, and that will impact us greatly. Let's see. And then I went to a 21st Century Symposium on technology and met with superintendents across the districts to talk about challenges as they try to implement one-to-one, but really looking at what 21st century skills are without the device and how we embed that into the curriculum. And so I think even though it's summer, we have been busy, busy, busy. So I want to thank the staff too, because we kind of been fast forward, moving fast and taking care of business. So I appreciate the work that all the staff members has done. Thank you.
Again, thank you, and congratulations on your appointment. And you have to set your target to become the longest-serving superintendent
That's the goal.
for Washoe County School District.
Okay. And just to remember, we are marching to the finish line. We have summer school for finishing touches on graduation, some kiddos who might need credits, and we're taking high school proficiency tests next week, I believe. So we're still on the road to the finish line. So we're supporting our kids in classes in summer school. So I want to thank all the teachers who are giving up their days during the summer to extend that enrichment and opportunities for those students.
Okay. Does anyone wish to pull any of the consent items? If not, I would entertain a motion for agenda items 3.02 through 3.25.
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
same signal. So carried. Let the record show unanimous. She voted over the phone. Thank you. Okay. That brings us to item 4.01, presentation by the staff regarding recommendations for increasing substitute teacher compensation for information and discussion only. You know, I'd like to make a suggestion, since we're going to talk about substitute teaching. You know, on a short-term contract, you go for 20 days, and so some of the people that are going to take critical needs or whatever for longer than the 20 days, well, if they miss a day in that 20 days, they have to start all over on the 20 days. And so in talking to a lot of substitute teachers and retired teachers, they would like to do this, but they hate the idea of, say on the 19th day, they need to go to a funeral, and they've already put in 18 days. Then they have to start all over on 20. And so a lot of them don't take positions because of that. So I think we should look into that also. This compensation is good, but because you're missing out on a lot of well-qualified people, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you for that feedback. And that's something that substitutes have shared with me and with my staff over the past year. We're actually working really closely with our software provider to try and figure out a way that the system can understand that gap is not a break in service.
Yes.
And then we've implemented, as a part of another project that we're working on, we've implemented a little bit different payroll flow for the substitute area so that this year we'll be able to manually review the records and make adjustments to those that don't actually have a break in service, where they're consistently working so that they won't experience that.
Okay, so you're ahead of me then. You're working on bridging the gap, so to speak, for people that want to take these long-term contracts but are afraid to take it with the break-in service. So thank you very much for looking at that and being ahead of me.
Of course.
Okay?
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
President, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, my name is Emily Ellison, and I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition and Development, and I'm also responsible for overseeing the Substitute Services Department. And I appreciate you allowing me to be here today to share with you some of the work that we've done to evaluate substitute teacher compensation for the coming school year and moving forward. I'm joined by Tom
Sosinski, the Chief Financial Officer. Maybe you heard of me.
Once or twice.
He's new here. As you know, substitute teacher compensation is a hot issue, right? We've gotten a lot of feedback over the last year or so regarding the rates and how we compare to other districts and what impact that might be having on our ability to attract and retain substitute teachers to make sure that our classrooms are staffed when a teacher can't be present for work. And so we've worked really closely with Tom and his team to analyze the utilization data and the budget and figure out a way that we can increase compensation for our substitutes. And so we're excited to be here today to share that information with you. We're going to review a couple of things just to kind of set the stage for the conversation. First, we wanted to give a feel to everyone, particularly those that are new to the board, for what substitute teacher pay has looked like in the past for WCSD, and then talk about what the plan is for this coming school year, and then also how we compare to other districts in Nevada, so that we can be assured that we're competitive and able to, again, attract and retain substitutes. Of course, we'll have discussion and questions throughout, so please stop me if you have a comment or question at any point. The first slide illustrates the pay history for substitutes over the last 23 years. And what you'll notice here are a couple of key takeaways. Back in 1992-93 school year, substitute teachers were paid $72 a day, and substitutes are paid on a daily rate. And in the 2014-15 school year, despite the passage of time and obviously increase in the cost of living, substitutes made $10 more per day at $82 a day. So wages have not necessarily kept up with increases in inflation or the cost of living. Another important takeaway from this chart is that in the 2011-12 school year, substitutes, like all district employees, took a reduction in compensation given budget constraints and went from $85 a day to $82 a day. And although the economy has improved a bit and other employee groups have seen increases since that time, substitute teachers have not. Their wages have remained flat over the next few years. And as you'll see later in the slides, at $82 a day, Washoe County is $14 less than the average pay rate, the average daily pay rate of the nearby districts for which we compete for substitute teachers. So definitely a need for us to evaluate this and to make some adjustments in order to remain competitive. The plan for the 2015-16 school year is outlined on this slide, and the easiest way to sum it up is the +8 compensation plan. So our current compensation structure rewards those employees that work the most consistently, and you'll see there are two categories. So your starting base rate is determined by how many days you worked the prior school year. So if you're brand new to us, you obviously didn't work any days the prior school year, you would fall into that top section of the less than 121 days worked. If you did work for us last year and you were consistently subbing for us in our classrooms, you would fall into the bottom section, which is greater than 121 days worked. And then from there, the amount of time that you work in the given school year determines what your pay rate is. So for the first 90 days of your time working at the top tier, you would be paid $90 a day. Then at 91 days, you receive another increase of $8 to $98. And then at 121, you would move to $106. Those folks who work more than 121 days in a school year are rewarded the following school year by coming in at the highest base pay rate. And so they receive $106 a day from the beginning of the year. President Mayor, you touched on those folks that work more than 20 days in an assignment, and we feel like any substitute who works more than 20 days begins to assume more responsibilities for being in the classroom consistently. If the teacher is away for that period of time, it's likely that the sub then becomes responsible for lesson planning and more responsibilities. So they receive a $15 increase for continued coverage on the 21st day. So whatever base rate they're at, they would get an additional $15. And then those substitutes who fill a vacant position for us, a position for which a certified teacher has not yet been identified and hired into the role, those folks get that additional $15 starting day one because they will be responsible for those classroom duties that would normally be covered by the certified teacher. So, any questions so far?
Yeah. What we're talking about is the difference between a substitute that's a temporary situation and then the long-term substitute. Mm-hmm. So the long-term substitute essentially is the teacher. Mm-hmm. Why are we not hiring that person on a regular line?
Onto a regular contract. Mm-hmm. We, through the ARL program, are working really hard to get those folks into contracted teaching positions. This would be for a situation where maybe they don't meet the requirements to obtain licensure, and so then they would be in the classroom as a licensed sub.
So, the license for a substitute teacher is different from the license for a regular teacher?
Yes.
Okay. I need it. I'm getting there.
But to your point, we'd like to get as many of those folks on contract as we can.
Because I have student teachers that have now fallen into that category, and they're doing their student teaching really as long-term subs, and they're doing well, knock on wood. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other? Okay, go ahead.
Great.
Now, this is already going to be in effect starting this year.
Yes, with the 15-16 school year.
So they went from 82 to 90, and then the other ones increased likewise.
Exactly, $8 a day at whatever level they're at.
That's great.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be well received.
Oh, I'm sure it will be.
Obviously, an important part of determining what rate we should be at was looking at other districts and determining what they were paying. And so this last slide gives you an idea of what other districts' compensation looks like and what their standard base rate is. And when we look at just the closest districts to us, obviously Douglas, Lyon, Story, Carson, and the charter schools, we're still not the highest paying, but I think that's okay because we're competitive at the $90 base rate. And you know, when we're looking at the greater Reno-Sparks area and subs who live and work here, I think being at $90, it makes it advantageous to stay and work here versus 82 here, or drive a little bit and receive between 90 and 100 in another district. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction, and like I said, I think it will be very well received.
If I may.
Oop, sounds like we lost Veronica.
If I may. Yes. It's not enough. Plain and simple. Tom and Mike will both kill me. I understand that. I don't have any money. By the same token, is there any way that we can afford to get it at least to 100? Because that's what seems to be base between them. And Tom, I don't know how much that would cost, but it would be a lot of money. I know that.
Yeah, I guess from the fiscal perspective, that's why they brought me along. And I want to thank Jeff Baza, who also helped us on this. I think we worked really hard trying to find a median that would make us competitive and then also keep us within the budget. So, this is a cost-neutral proposal. We're doing it through budget savings. We'd indicated to you that we were working on this in some of the initial budget hearings. And then we subsequently told you that when we adopted the budget that this would be a part of that budget. So that's why it's information only today. So we work real hard to keep it budget neutral. I think the other part of the equation is that we have to take this in consideration with all the other things that are going on in terms of contract negotiations with our other employees. So just trying to isolate on one thing makes it more of a challenge. So, generally speaking, I think we work real hard to make this a competitive package at the pricing that's being provided here. We'll see. Now we have a benchmark to see. Here's where we've moved it to. We'll see how it's going. If it's not going well, then I think we'll have to come back and revisit it to answer your question.
I would pull it to at least 95.
So I'd say I know we've had
my own.
lots of public comment about this, and I think that we are able to say that we really did listen to the substitutes to say we value you and we know that you step in at a time of need. And for all of us who've worked in the building and did get a sub, you know what that's like. I mean, we just know what that is like. And so an opportunity to say, yes, we did hear your voice and we value you, and we are thinking about how we can move this forward. And I think this is a good step for us in the first direction and see where we go. I think at the end of the day, we want licensed, qualified teachers in front of our students, though.
Definitely.
I mean, that's what the ideal situation would be. And I know you guys are working hard on recruiting more licensed teachers to start the year off, but I think this is a good segue and a balance to start.
I have a question, and that is, do you evaluate this every year?
What's that?
Do you evaluate the salary every year? Like this time next year, maybe you'll give more if you can. I don't know, but what I'm saying is to evaluate it every year. It seems to me like, well, we haven't had the money and we haven't evaluated it during that period. So I just was wondering if we could evaluate it every year.
Absolutely. I'm not sure what's been done in the past. Actually, today is my 1 year with the district, so. But I think it's a great idea, and I think something that we've talked about also is how we can continue to make it competitive, but also build on the capacity of our subs. And so maybe our subs who just meet minimum qualifications have one compensation rate, while the more educated or experienced professionals or those who are producing really quality results in the classroom receive another. So trying to align it to our pay strategy for our teachers as well. So I think it's absolutely something that we need to revisit every year.
And you were talking about licensing. Now a person can get licensed 60 credits.
Correct.
And it doesn't have to be education credits.
Correct.
So anybody could get a sub if they wanted to sub as a part-time profession or whatever at 60 credits. Is that well known in the community?
Yes.
I think so, but I think
Yes.
there's always a way to get the word out more, right? And so my team is spending a lot of time trying to get in front of community groups and professional associations and churches, and just make sure that people know that, so that we can really tap into the folks that need that sort of flexible, choose when you want to work type work.
And do you cap the amount of subs that you have?
No.
So nobody gets refused because there's a cap?
Not because of number, no. So we do have an interview and screening process, so
sure.
if somebody's not suitable to be in the classroom, they might be refused, but there's never a limit to the number of subs that we would accept into the system.
So if somebody comes down here, they don't say, oh, we have 200 subs now, we don't need any more?
No.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just want to thank you guys on the hard work. I know we've had plenty of meetings, and you guys did a great job of coming up with some ideas to support subs.
Thank you.
And we should probably also mention an important part of our team was Dawn Huckabee, but she couldn't be here today.
She's in Hawaii.
I know.
I was going to say she was on vacation, but somebody said where she went. So she had a choice of being here or going to Hawaii. So.
Yeah.
Well, at least she's bright enough to choose the right one. Yeah.
I think we ought to look at our policy and say that if anybody goes on a vacation to Hawaii, they take along the board.
Yeah, Bryce.
Okay. But we will reiterate to her that we'll review this on an annual basis to address Trustee Rosenberg's comment and President Mayer's comment. Up until now, before Emily got here, we were kind of in a stagnant position because of our finances. But we will, to honor your request, we will be evaluating this on an annual basis.
John, one other thing. The College of Education and those of us that work with the College of Education, there are some people that we say, no, you do not apply for a sub-license. You're not ready for it. So there's that kind of a thing too. I think it's important.
Mr. Smith?
I just wanted to comment to Tom especially. Thanks for doing that work to find a way to get some more money. As you know, money is a big deal for me. And usually I don't like giving it out, but where there's a need, we have to find a way.
Sure.
And I know how hard your team worked.
Well,
And this is going to come as a surprise, but I kind of echo Howard a little bit.
Oh, God. The world is coming to an end.
as much as I'd like to take credit, I got to thank one of my partners here, and she's sitting across from me over here. Superintendent Davis was very instrumental in helping us find some of this savings. So.
Well, I think it's a team effort.
Yeah.
Everything we do together for the best answer for kids, because
Yeah.
we want to make sure that we have people available for students.
Yeah.
And you know, Tracy said it well. It's really a good first start. We can see how it is in a year. You know,
And then-
I've never turned down money, even if it's $1. You know, some people might balk and say it's only $8, but on the whole, I think we're going to make a lot of substitutes happy because we're showing a start and a school board with a staff that's willing to look annually at trying to find a way to make sure that we're effective in getting the best substitute teachers. Because I hate losing some to, I don't know, is it Douglas that gets $190 something or Douglas County $192. I don't think we can get there, but you know, trying to keep some here at home. Good work, guys. Good work, Tracy.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other
Team.
questions or concerns? If not, thank you very much for your report, and
Thank you.
thank you for making some people, I'm sure, very happy. Because
We're excited to get the word out.
a lot of them would go to Carson City, even travel that far for the extra money, and now they don't have to. They can stay home.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great
Thank
afternoon.
you.
That's what it is.
Next, we have the presentation by staff regarding cleanup efforts and repairs to schools
God.
impacted by the June 30th, 2015 flash flooding in Sparks. Mr. Cobb.
Good afternoon, President Mayer, Trustees, Superintendent Davis.
By the way, before you start, you guys did a marvelous job out there.
So
I'd
far.
have to say you jumped on it and got it going.
You bet. First, I'd really like to point out we had an impact at two schools, mostly at Jerry Whitehead and at Marvin Moss. And Jerry Whitehead was interior in the building and exterior. Kelly Dominguez, the site administrator, and her staff were amazing that night. They were immediately out there. We had our impact crews from facilities management out there, some of our facilities management staff. They were out there till 1:30 or 2 in the morning. We got a company in there right away. So I can't say enough to Kelly and her staff and all those that came out immediately and stayed so late that night, getting everything out of the rooms. It really reduced the amount of damage to our supplies in there and our equipment. Right now, the cleanup effort is pretty well finished, other than once we're done doing the interior repairs, we'll have some wipe down after that. Estimates are you're looking at about probably $300,000 worth of damage all told inside the building and outside in the playground area. Additionally, at Moss, it was all exterior, but we have some repairs out there, and you're looking anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000 there. Now, we are working with risk. We do have insurance for these things.
We do.
So there's a deductible that will be paid in there. Risk is looking at working with their insurance carrier right now. Most likely you're looking at about $75,000 to $100,000 as a deductible. So we will be able to help for a portion of it, but most of it will be covered on our insurance. The game plan right now is to have the interior of Whitehead complete by the 27th as far as wall and painting and repairs, and then flooring to occur that week, with school, when the teachers come back, on the inside done. The exterior we're hoping to be done by August 10th. I think we'll still have some areas that we're cleaning up, but having play spaces for the kids outside will be very important, as well as at Moss is the same timeline as timeline is August 10th, being able to have those play areas up and running. We have a lot of material to remove out of there. Anybody looking for topsoil, I can make a deal. I'll definitely make you a deal.
I can use some.
Okay. You've got a lot of people working on this. This has been around the clock. It wasn't obviously a planned event, but a great partnership here with folks at the admin building helping out. Staff on site has been amazing, and a lot of people in the facility staff that have really stepped up to the plate, working some long hours trying to make this happen. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have regarding the issues right now.
Chris, we're putting the same stuff back in, or are we changing?
As far as the interior at Whitehead,
Yeah.
what you had was one type of carpet that was in there. We now use, it's called a Collins and Aikman. It's a type of vinyl-backed carpet that now, had that been the carpet that's in there, we wouldn't be replacing it. By the health department standards, we can go in there, we can clean it, scrub it, vacuum it, and it doesn't contain any bacteria or anything like that.
Okay.
So the carpet we're putting back will meet that. That's
Will
our
be that.
standard now.
Fine. That's what I was wondering.
Any other questions? You know, a person asked me, and I know it's probably impossible to do, and that's to take some Jersey barriers and put it up there and to divert the water away, but then you're diverting it on to somebody else's. You're just shifting your property to somebody else, and you might be up for suit.
Well, actually, you and I both have a history of this. In '05, we had thunderstorms up in the Vistas. At the time, I think we were both still City of Sparks.
Yes.
Looked at that power rod area. One of the ideas originally was to do an Arizona crossing where you do the lowered roadway in that portion of the power rod floodway. And unfortunately, you have gravity sewer and storm drain systems through there. You can't lower the road. One of the other ideas was looking at piping it underneath. It looks, at that time, it was about a $30 million project to run basically a subway down Shadow Mountain, the roadway. So you're looking at cost benefit. It's cheaper to buy every house than build that. This storm was in excess of a 100-year event.
Yeah.
In your design standards, a 100-year event. Plus, the floodway tries to do a 90-degree turn. When the water's coming down really, really fast, it doesn't like to turn 90 degrees.
Yeah.
We are working with City Sparks, and that's one I do need to point out. City Sparks has stepped up at Marvin Moss. That field there, the baseball field, is a joint use. They've been up there this week. Their loaders and everything, removing the materials from that field for us. So they're trying to get that field back into shape so their youth can play there. I really appreciate their efforts. Matter of fact, today, Tony McMillan's meeting with them. We're looking at both Moss. Maybe there's some long-term improvements that we could partner with the city or the county or the HOA to help protect us in the future. I think we all have some things we can do there. And the same goes with Whitehead. I think there's some things we can do outside of a Jersey rail. I think that height, you're absolutely correct. You create problems for those houses across the way. But maybe there's some other ideas that can lessen the impact. So we're going to entertain those efforts, and I would say that in the future in our capital renewal plan, you're going to see an effort that we need to do something there. So,
You know, I'm so glad that school wasn't in session.
oh, we're lucky.
You know, because right at 2 o'clock, when that water rushed down the Paw Range, and if you had a play yard full of kids, and the rushing water as fast as it gets going, it could have been really disastrous.
Somebody was picnicking at Powrow because they left in a hurry. The bag of chips was still there. It was actually in the playground in the water, and their hibachi and beverages was still underneath the picnic table.
Wow.
Next day.
Wow. Well, I'm so thankful we got you,
Thank
Mr. Cobb. You're one in a million, and I know you handle these kind of things first rate. So thank you for all your hard work, and give the staff kudos too.
Will do.
Thanks, Chris. We love operations.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we have is a consideration of approval of the proposed longer-term contract with the law firm of Maupin, Cox, and Groy to provide legal services to the Board of Trustees on an independent contractor basis commencing August 1st, 2015 and expiring September 30th, 2016 for Discussion and possible action. Tom again.
President Mayor, Superintendent Davis, I get to say that for the first time, and members of the board. For the record, Tom Sosinski, Chief Financial Officer. With me is our Director of Procurement, Ms. Andrea Sullivan, and at the direction of the board, we did do, just as President Mayer said, work on an extended longer-term contract with Mr. Malloy and his firm. I want to start out by thanking Ms. Sullivan and Mr. Malloy for their diligent efforts in putting this extended contract together that are to the benefit of both the Washoe County School District and to Mr. Malloy and his firm, and result in some savings to the district in terms of getting a longer-term contract. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Sullivan, who will walk you through some of the finer points of the contract, and we'll turn it back over to the board for action.
Thanks, Tom. So I was just going to highlight a few important details from the contract. I know you guys have seen a copy of the contract. I'm going to highlight some of the things that are coming out of the new contract, and then you can ask any questions that you want about it.
Let me just check. Veronica, are you there?
I am.
Okay.
So first and foremost, as Mr. Malloy had promised, he did reduce his rates if he were to receive a longer-term contract. So we might note that his billable rate normally at his law firm is $375 per hour. In the short-term contract he had with us, he has been billing us $300 an hour. And in this new proposed contract, he would be billing us $275 per hour. I think another thing to keep in mind is he's also agreed not to necessarily bill us a minimum of an hour, but a minimum of a quarter hour. So if somebody picks up the phone and calls him and it's a 10-minute phone call, we don't get charged for an hour of service. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. He's also kindly allowed the new rate to go into effect August 1st because his short-term contract actually goes through September 30th. And so we could have started the new contract October 1st. If you approve this, it will go in effect August 1st. It will make the short-term contract null and void. And this contract will go through September 30th of 2016. So it ends up being a 14-month contract because it's 1 year from the end of when his short-term contract would have ended. Some of the duties that he'll be performing are substantially the same as they were in the short-term contract. Very importantly, so to make sure that we're in compliance with open meeting laws at all times, he will be reviewing agenda titles, the text of the staff reports, any attachments to the staff reports, recommended actions to make sure they match the title and that the actions being taken is appropriate. He'll also be proposing or reviewing possible language for motions that you might make. For actions that you want to take. He is separate and apart from the Office of the General Counsel and will be representing the Board of Trustees, wherein the General Counsel's office will continue to represent the school district itself. He will provide the trustees any legal advice as needed as anything occurs. He will also represent the board in any litigation or potential litigation that may come up against the Board of Trustees. He'll attend all regular board meetings and then also attend any other meetings, subcommittee meetings, committee meetings, joint meetings, any of those at the request of the president or in his absence at the request of the vice president. That's sort of a high-level look at what this contract entails, but if you have any more questions, we're happy to answer any you might have.
I might just point out, too, if Mr. Malloy is not able to attend, he has identified representatives from his firm that will represent him in his absence.
4 or 5 of them.
All my ex-students.
In case he wants to go to Hawaii, too.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions? Yes.
Just have a comment. Just want to thank Mr. Malloy for giving us a good deal in a longer-term contract at that reduced rate of $275 and working with us on a quarter-hour minimum billing. So that way, some of the taxpayers out there, they'll come to me and say, Nick, why are you hiring an outside counsel? They need to know, though, that our outside counsel is giving us something that's definitely fair, given our situation. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. I appreciate it. May I make a comment?
Yes, you may, Mr.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank both Ms. Sullivan and Mr. Sosinski for working with me on this. It was a mutual effort and it was mutually beneficial. We had a few issues to iron through and we did it successfully and hopefully to the benefit of the client, you. I wanted to comment quickly about the item in the contract about how my responsibility includes reviewing the titles and other items in the proposed agendas for these meetings. I think it's fair to say that the main reason I was brought in was in order to try to prevent any further, primarily to prevent any further problem or issue about compliance with the open meeting law. So far, so good, and I hope it will continue that way. It should. But what I wanted to say about that is that I think that in order to make my job something that can be accomplished properly, and given that staff, different departments propose the texts of these titles for the agendas, I think they need to always be mindful that I don't know a lot of the context for some of these agenda items, unless somebody takes the time to inform me about some issue they see that might arise. And so I would ask staff members and ask the superintendent to ask staff department heads, so to speak, to, when they're writing these agenda items, to think about what the public will see as to be expected at these board meetings. If they think of how they're writing that with that in mind, then we shouldn't have any particular problems. And what comes to mind is, I think it was the last board meeting or the last regular meeting involving the overcrowding issue. And there was a presentation that started to include something about zoning, rezoning. And while I understand that rezoning, that you cannot really talk too much about overcrowding without talking about rezoning, I think that given that rezoning is such a hot button issue with the public, that I thought it was important to try to put a damper on that discussion, because there was nothing said in the title of that agenda item about rezoning. That's just an example. So my point there was to try to keep you out of violating the open meeting law, and I think I did that. And I don't know that you would have violated it anyway, but it was looking like it could go down that road. And so I interrupted the conversation. And so my point here is, if you want to talk about something that the public would really be interested in, I don't know what it's going to be unless I'm told. And so I ask staff, please, to, if for example, in that case, if they want to talk about rezoning, just tell me in that agenda item, and I could have rewritten it accordingly and made that possible or better, more appropriate. Being in the staff report is not adequate for notice to the public. It's what's in the title that's really crucial, because that's what the public sees if they want to look at the agenda. And that's what is noticed, therefore, under the open meeting law. So that's what I ask that you do, is just help me with writing those, and then we won't have any difficulty, I hope.
To that point, if I could, President Mayor,
Yes.
we had talked to Mr. Malloy about maybe possibly doing an in-service for our staff in terms of writing staff reports, and so maybe as a possibility soon to maybe have an in-session with Mr. Malloy to kind of just give some general pointers on how to write board items. And this was a good example here, but I mean, again, we want to do a good job and make sure that we're doing a good job of writing these reports, and so getting some general guidance on how to write them may not be a bad idea, I think.
I
So.
appreciate it, whatever you want.
You know, that sounds like a great idea to me, because, you know, all our staff is not hired to write staff reports to pass the open meeting law. So I think if we have a training, that would help.
So we discussed that in our conference call with Mr. Malloy. We were negotiating the contract, the need for that. For those of us who are here all the time, we kind of get it a little bit better because we hear all of the discussions going on at the board meetings, but there's plenty of staff out there that might have one or two a year that just don't understand the implications of how that title needs to match the action, and that it has to be, you know, the public has to have a reasonable expectation of what that action is going to be. So we've worked with Chief of Staff McNeil to talk about bringing in either Mr. Malloy or someone from the AG's office to give some training to the staff on that, because I think it's really important.
And, you know, I don't know, Kristen is excellent, but I don't know how anybody can be everything. And so when they get a report to review, they may not understand it as much as if we have a lesson on how to do this. So I think that'd be great. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity for this.
Great.
Time for a motion?
Yes, the chair will entertain a motion.
I move that the Board of Trustees approves the written long-term second agreement for professional legal services as board counsel with the law firm of Maupin, Cox, and Lagoy to provide independent legal services to the board as its board counsel effective on August 1, 2015, expiring on September 30, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are you there, Veronica?
I am.
Okay, we're having a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried unanimous. Let the record show.
And
Now-
just hold your calls until August 1st.
Okay. And
At
now
what
you,
time? At what time? 6 in the morning, 12 midnight, what?
1201's fine.
and now you have
He'll take your call, though.
a real big contract coming up here.
That,
Which
of course,
one?
Not on the
Which one's you
agenda.
talking about?
Oh.
No idea.
Can we just keep going?
Okay.
Could we just move along, please? Thank you so much.
Okay, 5.01, board members' request for future Board of Trustee agenda or agenda items. I have a request that I'd like us to just think about. We have that spotlight on success, and a group from Incline is going to get the award for volunteer of the year or volunteer of the month or whatever. And we're going up to Incline on the 28th. And it would seem to me that we could do that special one on the 28th up at Incline so that people from Incline could come and see these people get an award instead of driving all the way here. Would that September, I'm sorry.
And John's buying dinner.
Huh?
Oh, good.
Does
I don't
everybody
want to go to McDonald's, though.
think that's okay? Okay,
Sure.
then we'll
Fantastic.
put that on the Incline agenda then, okay?
I have something to
Sure.
ask. I've gotten a number of emails. There's cleanup going on naturally in the schools that were affected. If we need extra people to help with the cleanups, has any consideration been given to bus drivers that might like to earn some extra money and would be available to do that?
Boy,
And I should have asked that when Chris was here.
They've gone
And
now,
I
so-
haven't.
Mr. President, that's not technically on the agenda unless
Okay.
unless it's
Well, this is-
unless it's a suggestion for a future agenda.
I think, all right, then
Put it
it's a
on the future
suggestion
agenda?
for a future agenda.
Okay. We'll put that on our next agenda.
That's
Good
why
job.
you're here.
Very.
I'll get us into trouble.
All right.
Trust me.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Any public comment? I don't have a card. Anyone in the public? No? Okay. Our next meeting is July 28th at 2015 at 2 p.m. right here in this boardroom.
Wait a minute, something's wrong. Oh, no. No. It's only been an hour. We have to go longer than that.
It's summertime.
And it would
I will shut up now. Thank you very much.
we could do a dance and a jig or
I
something.
don't think so.
Okay.
Bang the gavel.
Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.